Okay, welcome back. You are probably relieved that for the first time in quite a while, your grammar notes actually have nothing to do with verbs. And really, they just have to do with nouns. And today, we're going to talk about some additional uses of the accusative case and the ablative case. So the first thing I wanted to do was just start by reminding you of the accusative case song. We're going to focus on that. So the accusative case goes em, em. The accusative case goes em. It's the direct object. The accusative plural goes os, ace. The accusative plural goes os, ace. It's the direct object. I hope you sang along with me. That felt lonely. Okay, now, you obviously know that the accusative case is used for, the direct object of the sentence, as in these couple of examples here. The accusative words are boldface there. Flamai kasam consumserunt. The flames literally ate the little house, or consumed the house. Belemicus milites Romanos adjuvabat et incitabat. Belemicus was helping and inciting the Roman soldiers being the direct object. Now you also know that the accusative case is sometimes used as the object of certain prepositions. So how do you know again? Well, if you remember the ablative case, the sine sub, ab de ex pro cum in sine sub, those 8 prepositions are always followed by a noun in the ablative case. Any other time you see a preposition in Latin, well, I shouldn't say any, most of the times you see a preposition in Latin, it's followed by a noun in the accusative case, as in post mortem, right, after the death of Cogibert. Prope aulam habitabat agricula Britannicus, a British farmer was living near the palace. Savius ad urbem contendent, he hurried to the city. So these 2 uses of the accusative case you've seen since Latin 1, and by that I mean last year. Now, moving on, here is the additional use, a brand new use of the accusative case. It's called the accusative duration of time, and it simply tells you how long an action lasts or how long something lasts. So anytime you see words that deal with time and they are in the accusative case, they're telling you the duration of a certain action. As in, multos annos hic habitavi, I have lived here for many years. Hic, by the way, I forgot to draw the long marks. It has a long mark over it. Hic, without the long mark, means this, but hic with a long mark means here. So multos and annos there, that would be an accusative duration of time, for many years. Look at the next one, duas horas laborabant. They were working for 2 hours. Duas and horas, both accusative. So accusative words that express time, or that deal with time, express duration of time, and they're usually translated as for. Okay? That's not hard at all. Now the ablative case is a little trickier, but not by much. So you've learned that the ablative case is used for the object of sine sub prepositions, and I'm going to remind you about the ablative song. I want you to sing with me now. Come on, I don't want it to be so lonely. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. The last case is the ablative. Aoes is ebus. By, with, from, and on. By, with, from, and on. By, with, from, and on. And sine sub prepositions. So the sine sub prepositions, ab, de, ex, pro, cum, in, sine sub. And you see all of their meanings there. You already know all that. Or at least I hope you do. If you don't, there it is. Okay. Now you learned a couple of additional ones last year as well. You learned that there's something called an ablative of personal agent, and there's also something called an ablative of means or instrument. Personal agent always has a or ab, meaning by, and it's the person who completes the action of a passive verb or a passive participle, as in, the soldiers having been praised by Sawius, we're happy, by Sawius, is an ablative of personal agent, because he's a person, versus an ablative of means, which essentially does the same thing, except there's no preposition, and it's always a thing, an instrument, in other words, and not a person, as in mercator, Faustibus verberatus in fossa exanimatus jacebat. So the merchant, having been struck or having been beaten by clubs or with clubs, was lying unconscious in the ditch. So there you have it. Now we're going to learn a few more, and these are really not that hard. So here are some new uses of the ablative case. There's something called an ablative of place where. It tells you where something or somebody is. And in prose, in other words, not in poetry, it will always have a preposition. You have seen these since the beginning of the Red Book, as in this sentence, which I just took straight from the first stage. Filius est in triclinio. The son is in the dining room. That's really easy. Ablative place where. Now here is one that sometimes people get confused with the accusative duration of time. But think about what they're called, and I'm hoping that that'll help you remember the difference. Accusative duration of time tells you how long an action lasts. An ablative of time at which tells you a specific point in time. No preposition is used. So for example, nona hora, notice how they're both ablative because they have a long mark over them. First declension, ad alam venet. He came to the palace. I left that out of the translation. He came to the palace at the 9th hour. Gives you a very specific point in time. Decimo die discessit. He left on the 10th day. Once again, a very specific point in time. And then I believe the last ablative use, which we'll do for now, is called the ablative of manner. It can be used with or without cum, meaning with, and it always answers the question how, as in, how did you graduate? Well, I graduated summa cum laude, which means with highest praise. Ablative of manner, the manner in which I graduated. How about this one? Savius magna voce dixit. Well, Savius is nominative, magna voce are both ablative, dixit is our verb. So Savius spoke, and I know that magna means great, and voce means voice. The only thing that really makes sense is to add in the word with. He spoke with a great voice. Ablative of manner answers the question, how did he speak? He spoke with a great voice. So, if you'll recall, the ablative of manner does not have to use a preposition. The ablative time at which doesn't use a preposition at all, and the ablative of means doesn't use a preposition. And so all you have to do, once again, is remember that song, and that's why this is here, the by, with, from, in, or on. If you see a word that looks like it's in the ablative, but there's no preposition in front of it, if you add in one of these 5 prepositions, I guarantee you, about 99.9% of the time, it will make sense. By, with, from, in, or on. Okay, let's look at a couple of examples. And this is it. Agricola provinciam septem annos administravit. So looking at that sentence as a whole, are there any clauses in there? The answer is no clauses. Okay, well, where's my main verb of the entire sentence? Well, that would be administravit. Looks verbish. It's got a V in there. V sucks. Ends in an IT, est, it, perfect tense. Who's my subject? Well, subject usually at the beginning, Agricola. Now I see a couple of accusative words. I'm going to erase that, actually. A couple of accusative words. I see provinciam, and I see annos. Oh, boy. What am I going to do? Well, administro means to manage. So piecing it together and noticing that the word septem, meaning 7, is right in front of annos, we could probably assume that septem, since it's a number, and the word annos means year, that this has something to do with time, Annos is accusative, so it's duration of time. Agricola managed the province for 7 years. Look at the next one. Hospites vino soluti clamare et iocos facere coeperunt. Okay, first of all, are there any clauses? The answer is no. What's the verb in the sentence? It's coeperunt. Coeperunt means began, and when you think about it, in English, oftentimes the word begin is followed by an infinitive. He began to do this or to do that. And if you'll notice, clamare is an infinitive, as is facere. So somebody began to shout and to make. So who's the subject? Who's doing the action? It would be hospites, the guests, began to shout and to make jokes. So now the only words that we have to account for are vino soluti. Soluti. Gosh. I feel like that kind of looks verby in the front, nouny in the back. What is the mullet of Latin grammar? That would be a participle. And in fact, it's a perfect passive participle coming from the verb solvo, S-O-L-V-O, meaning to loosen or untie. So the guests, having been loosened, we know, ablative word right here. Notice how there's no preposition in front of it. But not to fear. The guests, having been loosened by wine, does that make sense? It sure does. We can just stop there. If it didn't make sense, we could have gone to with, by, with, from, and on. But hey, by wine works. The guests, loosened by the wine, began to shout and to make jokes. That is an ablative of, if you look back at the 6 uses of the ablative that we know so far, you will find that it is an ablative of means. Very good. Number 3, nuntius gladio vulneratus effugere non poterat. Okay. Now, where's the verb in this sentence? It would be non poterat here. Poterat comes from possum, which means able to. That's always accompanied by an infinitive, and you see an infinitive here in effugere. So somebody was not able to flee or to escape. So let's find our subject. Nuntius, the messenger. Vulneratus, that looks like it's describing Nuntius, because they both end in US. But I don't know, it kind of looks verby, so verby in the front, nouny in the back. It's a participle again. Is there an NS or an NT? No, so it's not a present participle. Is there a UR as in future? No, it's not a future participle. Was this on that list of deponent participles I gave you? No. So therefore, it's a perfect passive participle. The messenger, having been wounded, once again, ablative noun, having been wounded, we have to go by, with, from, in, or on. By a sword, does that make sense? It sure does. So does with a sword. The messenger, having been wounded by a sword, was not able to escape. Once again, ablative of means. Prima luce modestus ex carcere fugit. Okay. Well, here we have modestus is our subject. Our main verb is fugit, to flee. And he fled ex carcere, out of jail, or from the jail. So then we have to account for these first 2 words. Now notice the long mark over the A, and the E there. The last case is the ablative A, O, E. Isisibus. These are ablative words. Now, lucus means light, and primus, prima, primu means first. So something about first light. I feel like this is going to be describing when Modestus decided to escape from the prison. So therefore, this will be an ablative time at which, at first light, Modestus escaped or fled from the jail. At first light. And that's an okay way to translate ablatives of time at which, is by using the word at. Look at this next word. Caesar in Britannia totum annum pugnavit. Okay. Caesar is our subject. Our verb is pugnavit. He fought in Britain. What kind of ablative is that? It's an ablative of place where. He fought in Britain. Totum annum. Ooh. Accusative words here. And annum is year. And they're accusative, so that tells me it's going to be duration of time. That tells me how long an action occurred. So for, Caesar fought in Britain for the whole year. Last but not least. Media nocte hostes castra nostra opugnaverunt. Okay. So in this sentence, it starts with media nocte. Look at that. There's a long mark over the A, and this third declension noun ends in E. Once again, last case is the ablative A, O, E, isisibus. And what does media mean? It means the middle. What does nox noctis mean? The night. Words dealing with time. In the ablative case, ablative time at which. Could you say at the middle of the night? Sure. Probably in the middle of the night works a little bit better in English. In the middle of the night, the enemies attacked Nostra Castra, our camp. Okay, so there you have it, some additional uses of the accusative and ablative. See you next time.